This is Wu Ji Shi, which is the infinity pose, and it only has two of our five principles, namely body upright, so we're not leaning all over the place, and relax, so we're not hypertense and we're not slumped. So relax and body upright, and our feet are just approximately 30-degree angle with the toes open and the heels together. Then you just calm down, and actually this is a training by itself. You could stand in this position for as long as you want, and some teachers do this up to half an hour or more, but we'll get going. So the way you start is you sink into your right foot, just let that knee bend naturally, and as you sink, the left foot will just feel empty. It'll almost float up by itself with no weight. Relax your foot. Don't have tension. Sometimes you can bring up your foot, but you've got tension in your foot. You don't want that. Just let it float up, and below the knee, there's just nothing there. It's so soft. But keep the shape so that you can put it down shoulder width, straight, flat, so it's not in or out, and no weight. That's the key thing. When we put it down, this is another principle of the five, which is separate weight. So when you put it down, make sure you put it down with no weight at first, and only when you're absolutely sure that it is straight and flat and no weight, then you can begin to shift over. Put all your weight 100% now onto the other side, which means that your right foot, in fact your entire right leg, will feel like a balloon. It'll start to almost just lift up like a dirigible on its own. But don't really take it completely off the ground, but just have that feeling of floating, that there's no weight left in there. And then, before you put any weight on it, you need to correct the angle. The 30-degree opening was corrected on the left by your sideways step, but now we're still left with the original angle on the right side, so we need to correct that without putting any weight by rotating with the heel in contact with the floor. Straighten that out. So now it's like you're standing on a narrow gauge railway, but you still have no weight in that right foot. So now, at this moment, we've got 3 of our 5 bend low principles. We've still got our body upright. Hopefully we're still relaxed. But now we've also added the separate weight. Separate substantial
which is the left right now, and insubstantial, which is the right, which is no weight. So that is another one of the principles. But we're having achieved that principle, we're about to lose it. So when we're sure we have no weight, we go back to 50-50. Now, as we go to 50-50, when you're doing the form in a natural way, you'll want to form the beautiful lady's hand. Just do it naturally. Now, what is beautiful lady's hand? You can put your arm on the wall from elbow to fingertips. Make sure it's straight but not stiff. So all the fingers are lined up against one another. The wrist is not bent and so on. So the natural way to do that is, as you put the weight, as you come to 50-50, just extend your fingers and make beautiful lady's hand. But I want to break it down quickly just for this film so that you see the components of beautiful lady's hand when you're forming it. Because too many people just, okay, I got my beautiful lady's hand. That's tension. What you want to do is, at least in your mind, you don't have to do it so overtly, but you want to do it in 3 stages. So you come to the middle. Now, just push your arms forward, nothing else. Your hands remain in their natural shape, which is not, this is not beautiful lady's hand, as you just stand there like you're waiting at the lunch counter, okay? It's not beautiful lady's hand yet. So as you come to 50-50, just push your arms 5 degrees forward from vertical. That's it. Don't change your hand shape yet. Now, step 2, rotate your arms so that the backs of the hands now face forward. That's all. So we've had one step is just move your arms out 5 degrees. Now rotate so the backs of the hands face forward. Now just extend your fingers. Now in those 3 steps, we've achieved the beautiful lady's hand. So this is a slightly more mentally engaged way to accomplish the same thing that later on, of course, you can sort of do the grass writing mode and just form it more naturally. But it always has those steps. Now you could stand here. This is called yubei. Sure, you could stand here for a long time. In fact, you really should. This is one of the main training phases of Tai Chi. But you can also do this at the end of the form. So we won't take a lot of time on this right now. But notice that now we have 3 of our 5 principles, but not the same 3 that I mentioned a minute ago. We now have body upright, of course, and we have relaxed just like before. But our weight has gone back to 50-50. So now the 3rd principle we have is the beautiful lady's hand. We don't have the other 2 yet. I'll introduce them when they come up. Which is raising your hands and lowering them again, just to sort of warm up your joints a little bit and get your internal energy flowing. So imagine that you have a wire hooked onto the back of your wrist, this area here, on both wrists, and it's attached to the ceiling. Also imagine that you're standing in water up to your chin, and then let that wire be reeled up like a fishing line, so your arms are just going to be pulled up by, basically by the skin here, and they really have very little other tension to achieve that. At least that should be your image. As you do that, the water you're standing in, the water pressure, will slightly waft your fingers downward. So here the wrist was completely straight. You see that? We have our first change because the fingers are being wafted downward by the water pressure. Raise up to shoulder height, not out from the shoulder, not in, not above, not below. It's right, your wrist is right at shoulder height. Your fingers are slightly pointing downward because of the water pressure. Everything's soft. That's our first wrist change. We're going to have 5 wrist changes. That's number 1. From straight to very slightly bent. Your knees are also very slightly bent. They're almost straight but not locked. But you're not really squatting at this moment. So this is our first change. Now our second change is, imagine there's a fishing weight on each elbow, and the fishing weight will just draw your arm down and back. It's just a weight on your elbow that draws you back. And as you do so, you haven't quite lost the uplift that was created by the raise, and that will slightly open the angle because this is dropping so fast that this angle will open. This is our change number 2, and that's the most subtle. It's a little hard to understand, but just work with it. Bring your fingers back as far as you can. Now you don't want them tense and jammed up against yourself. That would be tension. At the same time, some people are so tense that they really can't bring it back more than halfway without forcing it. So do your best to just sink down and bring your fingers as close to your shoulders as you can. That was wrist change number 2. Now, number 3 is very simple. The water won't support you forever. It will start to let you down. So relax your wrist so that the water no longer supports your fingers. And that is number 3, complete relaxation of the wrist. And you'll be interested to feel how much tension you can let go at that point. Now, number 4, imagine either the water or imagine a bar or a staff in front of your fingers so that as you lower the bar or the water, whichever way you want to think, your fingers will have to brush up over that. This will create wrist change position number 4. Very naturally. It's not that you come back and spring your fingers up and bring them down. That would be tension. So what you want to do is just lower your elbows even more, and then naturally, because there's a bar in front of you, the fingers will waft up, and this was our wrist change number 4. Bring it slowly and gently down. Now, of course, as I said, the water won't support you forever. So once you get to the bottom, you'll lose that support of the water gradually, and you will go back to the straight position, and that is wrist change number 5. So we've had 5 changes. There was the first slight inward bend. There was the very slight opening, number 2. There was the complete collapse, number 3. There was the pretty radical opening of number 4, and there was the return to the original angle as number 5. So that's just the opening. Later on, when you do this, you'll really feel the water pressure on you, and it's just a very comfortable feeling. Now we're going to do our first pose, which is Zuopeng, left wardle. Now in the Tai Chi, I won't say this every time, but I just want to emphasize on our first change, we want to begin with the waist movement. So this is going to look like an arm movement, but we don't want to start from the arms. So we're going to turn our waist to the right, and just a microbeat behind the waist, the hands will very gently. The motion comes pretty much from the elbow. You don't have to get into it like that. After all, it's so gentle. This left arm is just moving with your waist and coming up just a little bit. The right arm is doing something a little more extreme, and that is just rising to shoulder height so that you feel you're holding a ball, very softly holding like a beach ball, a large, very lightweight ball of cotton or something. Now, you've kept your beautiful lady's hand. We don't get a free pass to start bending our wrist just because, I'm holding a ball and all this. You can't forget about beautiful lady's hand. You always try your best to maintain, even while so-called holding a ball, but you can hold a ball with fairly straight wrists. You don't have to get into it like that. So do your best to maintain beautiful lady's hand. Now what about the feet? The feet, the weight is going to go completely onto the left, and with your waist, not independently, and not too early and not too late. With your waist, the foot is going to open on the heel. No weight, because you've shifted all the way to your left, and I'm not doing the arms now, just the waist, and I'm opening the foot. And there's no weight. Just because you finish the move doesn't mean you're suddenly allowed to have 50-50 weighting. You are not allowed to do that until you have checked that there's no weight. So the whole move is going to look like this. You're going to begin to sink, let the waist initiate the turn, holding the ball, and I've opened my foot on the heel. You open it so that they're absolutely perpendicular now. The left foot is like still on the train rail. The right foot, the heel of the right foot is still on the train rail, but the toe is open straight out. Let's say this is cardinal south. So it's pointing straight south. And you're looking that way too, and you're holding this ball and you're relaxed, and try to bend the hip joint. Whenever I say bend the hip joint, I'm going to be referring to the weight-bearing hip joint mostly, although, of course, both will bend. But the one you need to pay attention to is the one that's kind of nagging you because it's a little bit of a strain at first, physical strain. But you want to bend that hip joint and sit into it as comfortably as you can. No tension in the shoulders. Hold the ball, look forward, body upright. And we now have all of our principles in one move. From the very first move, actually, before we've even hit a real pose, we've got all of our principles because our body is upright. Hopefully we're relaxed. Hopefully we've got beautiful ladies' hands. We have turned our waist, so that's one of the 5 principles. And we have separated substantial, insubstantial. So here we have all of our 5 moves all in one. And we haven't even done a real pose yet. So we look towards cardinal south once you've made sure that there's no weight there. You can just bring it up a centimeter to check it. Go put your weight onto the right foot. And then our orientation is going to start moving to the front again. So while still holding the ball, you notice that as you put all the weight onto the right foot, the left almost begins to waft up by itself. That's a characteristic of this form. We don't have to make big sudden movements. This isn't Kung Fu. We let the natural feeling of de-weighting give us that lift. And now we want to step out straight. The problem most people have here is, because it's more comfortable, they step out on a diagonal, just because it's so much easier, right? But the trouble is, we're going to go into a frontward 70-30 stance, and you're going to end up like this. That is too narrow gauge of a railway. We're always going to maintain a minimum of shoulder width, always, in every single pose, with just 1 or 2 very special exceptions. So, no weight, come over here, we look forward. Make sure you relax. People tend to tense up here because you feel you're going to do something. But try not to just raise the foot itself. Don't raise the rest of the body. You don't have to raise up the rest of the body. Just raise the foot and touch very gently with the heel. You touch so gently and try to keep the ball. I know it's easy, and even I do this sometimes. You sort of lose focus because I'm trying to teach you about the foot. But make sure you keep the ball in the beautiful lady's hand. Touch the heel, no weight. Now really you should break this down. This is called the cat step. You should break it down into touching without any weight, and then letting the floor support the weight of the leg alone. Body weight is still back, but then finally you load up that front leg. Now we're going to let the waist do the movement, and we're going to close that rear foot to a 45-degree angle, pivoting on the heel. We're going to put 70% of our weight in the front with the front knee directly over the toe, not behind, not exceeding, not to the left or right. We're going to be shoulder width in the right to left dimension. We're going to be shoulder width, or maybe a little more than shoulder width. Depends how far you're able to step without weight. You won't be able to do like many styles of Tai Chi do. Give a big step and then get into a beautiful thing like this. You won't be able to do that because that would violate our no weighting principle. See, everything you do, you have to be able to undo without any loss of principle. I would not be able to undo this beautiful big step without distorting my body in some way. So what you need to do is don't step any more than you can undo. Don't step any more than you can do lightly. Keep it light. This is about all I can do. My legs were stronger. I could do a more beautiful one, but we're going to come by rotating our foot and our waist and putting our left palm directly facing the solar plexus. The right palm is just slightly in front of the thigh. We still have our beautiful lady's hand. Try to sit upright and comfortable as much as you can. Try not to lean. This is not Kung Fu. People get into it like this. They want to sort of do or show something. This is not that. We are just as comfortable as if we were sitting on a chair. Now you want your front knee directly over the toe, as I said. You also want your waist directly pointing to the cardinal. This is cardinal east. We want it directly cardinal east. Most styles of Tai Chi are going to be with your waist at an angle. It's not wrong, but in this style, we want to be directly at the direction of our nose. Our waist and nose, front toe. They're all going to line up along the same line. Now how do we do that? That's the question, because it's easy to get your front knee over your toe, but your waist is wrong. Or I correct people's waist, and look what happened. Front knee's not over the toe anymore. There's only one way to get both of these things to happen at once, and that is right here in the middle. You have to bend that hip joint. If you bend the supporting hip joint, you'll be able to get the front knee directly above the toe and keep the waist lined up in the vector of the pose, which in this case is cardinal east. You'll be able to sit in a relaxed way without any sort of karate kung fu grabbiness. Just sit comfortably. Nothing wrong with what I just said in those styles. It's just this is not those styles. So your arm is gently curved, your elbows are slightly sunk, your whole body's relaxed. Now we have most of our principles. We're relaxed, body upright, we've got beautiful lady's hand. We've got separate weight in the sense that we have 70 here and 30 here. It's not 50-50. This is 50-50. It looks very similar. This, on the other hand, is 70-30. It means your front is working a lot harder than the rear. 70-30. Okay. We won't go through that much detail on the others. This is just to start. Now you rotate to the next diagonal point, cardinal east, so we're going to go northeast, and we're going to pretend we're holding this ball. Now the waist is doing the work. We don't start with our arms. It would be easy to do like that, right? That's starting with our arms. Let the waist begin the work and let the arms finish the work. At the same time you rotate, you put all the weight into the left side, which will float up your back, just the way it's been floating all along. And now rotate back. So this whole form is nothing but waist rotation, left, right, left, right. If you've gone to the left, you know you're going to have to go to the right and vice versa, with just a few exceptions. So hold that ball. Now turn on the point of the foot. Now there's no weight. As I said, you put all your weight onto that left, so it should be very easy for that heel to just float up, and you've got no weight there, so you can do anything you want with it. You're touching the toe first, but we want to open this a little bit to get a good 70-30 for our next pose. So let's step out just a foot width to the right side, and maybe slightly forward if you don't have enough room, but no weight. Touch that heel, but there's going to be no weight on that foot until Simon says, load it up. Then you close your rear foot, the left foot, to 45 degrees, and we have right ward off, which is the same as left ward off, except that now your hand is up in front. It's midway between the right hand and your solar plexus. If a needle went straight through the back of your left hand, come out of your right hand, come through the center of your right hand, come out through the palm of your right hand, it would go exactly through the center of your left hand here, and it would go right through your solar plexus. Elbows slightly sunk, we've not got tension there. Same 70-30 principles applies, basically shoulder width in all dimensions. Bend the hip joint, waist is lined up along the cardinal south at this point, and we've got our knee directly above our toe. So this is our right warm-up, 70-30, everything good. Try to stay comfortable. Try to keep the lower back flat, you see? Try not to have a duck tail. I'm exaggerating, but a lot of people have a duck tail here. It's natural in a way, but we're going to just work with it. We don't have to fight it, but we're going to work with it and try, if I can show it here. Try to have this just like one of these floorboards, straight down. Okay, now this is right or up, so you can stand here for a long time. But eventually, we're going to turn our waist even farther to the next diagonal. So this is now our southwest diagonal, and as we do so, let the left hand just drop gently. So the ring finger will touch the elbow of your right side, and your right arm has slightly gone vertical, almost vertical, not absolutely straight. But everything is sort of almost in this form. It's never absolute except for the cardinal direction. So, ring finger touching, no weight. Most of your weight, even more than 79, is on your right side. Now just sit straight back to begin with. We're going to turn the waist, but to break this down, we're going to sit straight back. We have no weight on that right foot, none whatsoever, so we need to check that. Without moving the foot from its location, we want to make sure that it has no weight, so you could sort of kick someone or do something with it at any moment. It's got no weight. Now, keeping it with no weight, we're going to rotate our waist all the way back to the opposite diagonal, which is the northeast. And as we do so, all this stuff, all these arms are coming with it. They're coming with the waist. We're not moving our arms independently. They're coming with the waist. We're reaching out gently. Try to keep a beautiful, elegant shape, but not too elegant. It doesn't turn into a ballet dance. And we've got this. Now, hopefully without stopping, we rotate the waist and come on back to our press. Now for the press, you want these creases in the palms to line up like an X, so that you are right. You've got, imagine a line that goes right through the center of the heel of your palm. Those two little hillocks, right? That makes a line. Those two lines cross and make a kind of an X across each other. But very gentle, keeping beautiful lady's hand. It's not like that, okay? Yeah, even more, even straighter. You sink those elbows. To get a better beautiful lady's hand, you don't have to crank this. All you have to do is sink that up. See? That relax. Feel that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is our press, and this can be used for combative purposes by some people, but we're just feeling the relaxation. Now, brush your left fingers very gently across the top of your right hand. Resume your beautiful lady's hand and sit back all the way, but without moving your front foot. You can move it upward, but you can't move it around to get a better position. You're stuck with how you stepped, all right? You're stuck with it, so you don't have to commit to that. But there's no weight there. Just feel it. You're sitting back on that leg with no weight. You can test it from time to time, very gently. There's no tension in the foot. There's a little bit of muscle needed to hold it up, but not much. Then put it back where it was and just go forward. Let your whole body very gently go forward, right back into a nice 70-30. So front over toe, bend the waist, waist facing forward, and so on, except now you've only changed the arms. And as you finish your 70-30, you can let the arms go just slightly forward, just an inch or two forward of where they would have been, so that you continue a very, very slight degree of internal momentum. It's not really physics, but a little bit of an energy wave happening here. All right, so you could stand here for a long time. This is a good meditation pose. Your fingers are clipped in this push. Your fingers are clipped so they can't move, and therefore all you can do is relax your elbow and just let your arm open, because that's all you can do, because they're clipped. But you put all your weight back. Your arms are now right along the shoulder. They're not above or below, not to the left or the right. Shoulder width, but you've got no weight in this front foot. Now just rotate the waist. Very simple, but notice the foot is moving too. Let the waist do all the work, just like big guns on a naval battleship. Your waist is the turret, and you're just turning, but your foot is also going. Now don't let the arms go by themselves. If you reach the natural, suppose this is as far as my waist can turn. I don't want my arms to keep going, okay? Let your arms go exactly as far as your waist movement can take them, and not a millimeter further. But you've got no weight. You have no weight on this left. You haven't had any weight since you first sat back. Let the elbows sink a little bit. Keep this shoulder width. Don't open or close. Don't go up or down. And no weight. So you've closed as much as you can while trying to stay relaxed. Now, bring everything back onto the right. And hold the ball on the right, except this time your right hand forms into a sort of a crane beak thing. All the fingers meet, thumb and forefingers all meet very gently, and relax that wrist. It's no good to have this crane thing with a straight wrist. Now, it's one of the very few exceptions. We're going to bend that wrist in a soft way. And the point of this crane beak is right above the center of your palm, which is very close to your hip. Now, you have no weight on the left, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot out the right hand, shoulder height, and we're going to open this foot by rotating the left foot by rotating on the toe. Bring that left heel inward. The left heel was somewhat outward, right, from the previous pose, but it's got no weight, so it's very easy to just rotate that, and the heel movement finishes when the crane's beak has been fully projected. Now you look toward, in this case, it's going to be north. This is going to be a fairly big step, so you want to step all the way over and touch with no weight. Now, wherever you touch, you're going to be stuck with that. So hopefully you're not going to touch too soon or too close. You're going to really let it get out there, but with no weight. Just touch that heel with no weight, okay? Try to keep body upright. It's a natural tendency. Even I do it. We all do it a little bit, but try not to lean too much. And no weight there. And when you're really ready, let the front part of the foot gently fall. And now your hand is going to cross in front of your face. Your right foot is going to close by turning on the heel. And your waist is controlling it all. So three things have happened at once now. You have closed your foot, you have turned your waist, which actually is the main movement, and you have brought your hand, and at the very end, your hand rotates to face palm forward. The elbow sinks a little bit, the wrist is shoulder height. Actually, if you're really doing it right, you would open the shoulder beyond 90 degrees, but most people can't do that without tension, so just keep it at 90 degrees. Your fingertips are right at shoulder level, and they are shoulder position in terms of left-right. This is called single whip. Great move. Make sure you maintain 70-30, bend the hip joint, waist is pointing straight forward along the vector of the pose, and your front knee is over your toes. Your rear foot is flat, it's not curled up in any way. And just be comfortable, and you can sit here for a while. You're going now to put all the weight onto the left, and open the waist, and open that crane's beak, and let the waist open your arms. See how big your arms can get without much overt movement. You don't really have to do much, right? All you have to do is just let it happen. Open that up. Beautiful lady's hand. You have rotated on your toe, but your right foot now has no weight whatsoever, just the toe touching. Now, after this huge expansion, we did this beautiful expansion, right? With hardly any overt arm movement. It's just right there for you. Now we're going to do a big contraction. So the right foot is going to move just a little bit. See, just about 10 inches. It's going to move from the extreme right side more towards the center so that if you were to draw back, your heels would just barely graze. So it has a little bit of movement to do. Meanwhile, your arms have a lot of movement to do. They have to come way in so that they are approximately waist width. And the left palm faces the right elbow. This is play the guitar, or raise hands. It's basically the same thing. So here's the tricky thing. What we're going to have to do is, we're going to have to make a big arm movement, time up with a small foot movement. So this is going to engage your mind, make you think more, right? Because it would be easy to say, unless the arm's late, right? We want everything to come together at the same time. And just be very gentle here. You don't cramp up. Just because this is a contractive move, it doesn't mean you can cramp up like this. Imagine you're holding an ostrich egg. You don't want to crush it, you don't want to drop it. So we don't cramp up. We just have a feeling of contraction mentally. Beautiful lady's hand, no weight in the right foot. So you need to test that very gently, touch the heel. And theoretically, your left foot should still be straight, just like it was in the single whip. It hasn't moved at all. The problem is that we need to have our waist face eastward as much as we can. So it's a bit of a contradiction. And all of us, everyone I've ever seen except Ben, is too stiff to do this perfectly, including me. So my waist is a little bit off the cardinal, but over time, hopefully, I can relax more and get it there. For now, that's the best we can do. I'm going to draw back, draw everything back. Both hands and the foot is all going to draw back gently. The tip of the toe only is going to touch, and your palms are going to be facing each other. So it's going to be like this, at shoulder width. You're going to be looking forward. Your palms are going to be facing one another. Your toe either just barely touching or not touching at all as you look forward. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we've drawn back here. Now we're going to do the shouldering. Now shouldering is one of the most difficult poses because first of all it's a half shoulder width. Most of our 70-30s, we end up full shoulder width. This one we're going to up as a half shoulder width. So you just step straight forward, and yet you're going to go into a 70-30 pose. Very unusual. It's the only one in the form. Keep your front knee over your toe. This is something Ben always emphasizes. You don't let the front knee go side to side because that will put unnatural strain on it, and over time might damage your knee. So stay upright. All the principles still apply. Bend the hip joint, front knee over toe. You're upright. The only thing is your waist now deliberately is a little bit off center. Now because this is a so-called shoulder strike, a lot of people tend to lean into it because they're thinking about hitting someone. But when we're doing the form, don't think that way. Just stay upright. This is what we always do, except for one exception in the form. But basically, we always stay upright. We don't try to lean into it to hit someone. And energetically, you should feel that your fingers are just palm down, left palm down. Your fingers are somehow energetically supporting your front elbow. And they don't really touch, but just feel that it's right there to support it. I'll show it from this angle, okay? And beautiful lady's hand at all times. Don't get into anything like this. Okay. So now, we've got our shoulder strike. Now, we're going to turn completely to the north, the full north cardinal. So very gently, keeping beautiful lady's hand, relax everything, make everything stop at once in white crane. You see? So in other words, my foot is making an arc, a quarter circle from the west side to the north side. And it's going to touch with the toe. So that if we drew our foot back again, the heels will just graze, just like before. There's going to be no weight. The left foot is going to have no weight. So the change in terms of the footwork is merely a matter of bringing that toe around and touching very gently. This is white crane spreads wings. Now in terms of the arms, you're going to lower, very simple. As you move, you let your left hand drop. You don't move it down. You just let it fall. You don't really have to do anything. And very gently raise your right hand so that as the waist rotation completes, the hand comes near your temple in a sort of a salute. It's not palm directly outward. It's not palm directly down. It's approximately 45-degree salute-like motion. Okay? It's like an army salute. This is our white crane. And make sure you just keep no weight on that front. Sit down as much as you can. If you think this is an easy pose, if you think it's a rest pose, that means you're not really working it. So you need to sit down a little more. Touch that toe very gently. Your foot is free. You could kick. You could do things with it. Now, rotate back toward the right as you gently let your hand fall through water. Very gentle, with the waist movement. Let it fall through water. Let it rise through water. Just as much strength as you would need to go through water, nothing more. Meanwhile, there's no weight on our left front foot because we are now going to make another 70-30. So step out enough to create a 70-30. Remember here, you were close. That's too close. You won't make a good 70-30. So you can't put your foot back where it was. And you can't put it back on the toe. We're going to put it back on the heel. No weight, and then our right hand is kind of near our ear, our left hand is near our knee, and this is brush knee. So as we turn the waist into it, we brush our knee. Now this is something that I'll just show it from the other side because a lot of people when they do this is called brush thigh, right? Or brush belt or something. What you need to do is without leaning, also just to get the brush knee, we don't want to lean into it like that. So what you have to do is you have to really relax, totally relax, sit down, stay upright, and just gently brush knee, okay? Over time, your body gets softer. That kind of thing will be easier. But you'll have two chances, actually more than two. There's several of these in the form. You get a lot of practice. Now, the left palm is facing down. It's a good 70-30, comfortable 70-30, front knee over toe. hip joint bent, lower back nice and flat, and the waist pointing directly to the north. We've got it good. The tips of the fingers are right at the shoulder level and right at the shoulder angle. So, just like the push, except your left hand's down. No difference. The lower part of the body is the same in all these 70-30s. It doesn't matter what you're doing with your hands. It makes no difference. Now here's a weird one. We're going to go forward without leaning, hopefully. Probably lean a little bit, but we're going to try not to lean. We're going to go all the way forward. Let the rear foot come up almost by itself. You don't have to pick it up with muscular motion. It'll almost come up by itself. And then as soon as it's up, you can just gently, very gently place it down. Now, when you place it down, go through all the cat step protocol. Even though this is a rear step, it's the same thing. First nothing, you're off the ground. Then touch, there's no weight. Then let the entire weight of the leg alone. Just the leg. There is weight now, but it's only the leg. It's not the body. The body weight's still in the front. Now we sit it back. That's the way to do the cat step. Now, as we do our play guitar or raise hands, we need to correct, because remember we were at 70-30 where it's a little wider a minute ago? That was our brush knee. Now we need to correct and bring it in so that it becomes a good 100-0. 100% of the weight on the rear, 0 on the front, just like the pose we just did. Now do not curl your toes aggressively. A lot of people have tension in their foot. You just want it to be very, very relaxing. Now again, just like we did coming out of White Crane, turn our waist, let the hand rise through the water, your fingers get a little above shoulder level, they come back towards your ear as you turn your waist back again, touch just the heel, there's no weight, your left hand is getting ready to brush that knee. When you're sure there's no weight, you can let the foot gently fall, brush the knee without leaning, bend the hip joint, and sit into a good 70-30. Brush knee, just like we did. There's no difference. You can go through that sub-sequence as many times as you want. But we'll move on now. So we're going to sit all the way back on the right. Let the right hand gently fall towards the right thigh. Open the waist towards the northwest now, the northwest diagonal. Okay, and there's going to be no weight on that left. So that as your waist opens, you can open the left even more. Remember it was pointing straight towards the north? Oh, as you sit back and you got all your weight back there, you can open your weight even more, or your waist even more, so that you see that leg pivots on the heel. Now put all, while looking forward, don't kind of look down too much, unless you need to correct your position. Put all the way, let all the weight go into the left, and as you do so, turn your waist more, so that your hands form into a fist and the open palm, and they face each other at about shoulder distance, not this, not this. Very gently, very, very gently. When you make a fist in Tai Chi, you keep the beautiful lady's straight plane on the wrist, and you don't tense up. It's very soft. It looks like it could be a fist, but if someone felt it, it would be very soft. So here we are. The front hand is now formed into the fist, soft fist, the front one here. Okay, yeah, and the rear one is the same palm. We're looking forward. Now all the weights come off our rear right foot. We're going to step forward. Now here's a weird step. It's not completely straight. It's a little bit to the open side, a little bit to the right open side angle, because this, in 1 millisecond from now, this is going to become the rear foot of a 70-30. So it needs to be a little bit open and with no weight. Looking forward, no tension in the arms, but a good shape in the arms. Now let that front foot fall when you've checked that there's no weight. Start to load it up with weight. Now, several things, everything's going to happen at once. Both arms and the rear leg. Everything's going to come down and land at once. With no weight. No weight, see? That's the hard part. Now let me demo this from the other side. So let's say that we come up here, right? We're looking forward. We do our little sort of a duck kind of a step so that we're a little bit out, but no weight. As the waist starts to change, everything happens at once and you end up with no weight. And this stays soft. A lot of people kind of get tense here, or they get tense with this one. Everything is equally soft and it all ends at the same time. Okay? Those are kind of hard to look back. That's the last bit call. Move in the form because now we're almost done with the first section. But we have no weight. Very gently raise your foot, not with any Now we're going to tension in the foot, but very gently. We have no weight. And our sword hand here, this front beautiful lady's hand, is right in line with our chest. The rear right fist, it's still in a fist, but it is now palm facing forward, gently by your side. Don't need any of this tension. Let it go. Open it up. Still a fist, but no tension there. And yet it has mind, so it has an angle. It has an angle, but it has no tension, right? And you can just face this a little forward. See that tension? Okay, so here we are, right? Now, assuming you put your foot in the right place, the problem is a lot of people, the foot's wrong, and then when they come to do 70-30, it's all messed up, right? So you have to think ahead a little bit. As you're doing this move, consider that wherever you put it, you're stuck. You are committed to this position so that you want to be able to do a good 70-30 right into it without moving the foot. And if you don't think of that, if you just sort of, bam, go for it, and now you're going to be messed up when you come to do your 70-30. So think ahead, make nice circles. This is sort of a diagonal chop like what you call keisagiri in Japanese sword war, but much more gentle, much more gentle. Then, turn your waist and let the waist bring that right rear fist up. It's not like, I'm going to cock my fist and punch the guy. It's not like that. Just let the waist movement gently bring it forward and make a straight, sort of a low punch. So it's kind of like a gut punch. Your left hand ends up with the left palm facing the right elbow. You can even relax that a little more. Yeah. Okay? Good, good, good. Okay. And just bend and now you try to sit into that there. All right. Now we're almost done with the first section. Now, we've got this. We've got 70-30. Waist is in position. Knees over toe. Lower back straight. Everything good, right? Now, rotate your waist even more to the northwest, and just keep that fist for the moment. Once you get as far over as you can, the arms don't have to do anything, they just go along for the ride. As you begin to sit back, open the right fist gently, not like bang, but open it gently. Sit back on the right as you let your left arm, mostly by the waist motion, kind of creeps under, past the elbow, higher than the elbow. Let it kind of sneak softly under. It's not like raising your elbow, like doing something weird. You're just letting it sneak under gently. And then let the right elbow just sink past that left arm. So gentle. And look how far your waist is turned. Almost so that, your waist is definitely on the northeast diagonal. No weight in that front foot. See that? Got weight there, right? No weight. And let your palms face yourself. Yeah. As far as your waist, as far to the right as you can without tension and without messing up your front foot. Now all you have to do is begin to load up the left foot and rotate the waist back as you load. At the very end, rotate your hands forward, so palms forward, and we've got the same push we already saw in the earlier part of the section. And that is pretty much it. We're just going to close up now. I'm going to sit all the way back onto the right and extend the hand. Remember this clip? The clip is holding your fingers, so they can't do much. And you've got no weight in that front foot. Test that. When you're sure there's no weight, you are licensed to turn your waist toward the original direction we started from, which is the east. And as you do so, let your hands gently, gently, gently open. It's not a big tense thing. They gently open. They're just a little bit, more or less head height. They're not super high or low. Just at a 45-degree angle. You've got no weight in the left foot. As you curl it, remember, we're going to do a transition. There's never any weight when you transit. And try to get it as straight as you can because you're going to have to come back to your original position. Without changing the arms, rotate the waist backwards so that your foot, see this front foot? It was at an angle, right, from the previous position. Now, with the waist rotation, it's going to rotate on the toe until it's straight again. So hopefully your left foot is as straight as you could make it. Your right foot is now straight. So all you have to do is slide it back, okay? So we got this, and the arms, as you rotate to straighten the right foot, the arms are going to fall. As you retreat the foot back to its original train track shoulder width position, your arms will rise with the right arm on the outside. Don't block your vision. Keep it just below your chin. Beautiful lady's hands still. Totally relaxed, no weight. We never sacrifice the principles in this form. No matter how trivial the transition, we want to get on to something beautiful or whatever. No, it's always the same at every minute. Then we go back to 50-50. This is the first time we've been 50-50 since we began. Your arms in the same position. Now you rotate your palms downward and slightly outward. Let them fall through water. And you are back at shoulder width, 50-50, upright, relaxed, beautiful lady's hand, just like we started. But we're going to undo that last principle. We're going to get rid of the beautiful lady's hand by shifting to the left completely, so there's no weight. See, we never give up the principles. Even now, I'm done, I'll go have a sandwich. No, we keep the principles to the very end. So we rotate on the heel. There's no weight on the right foot. When you're sure there's no weight, you come all the way over to the right. Rotate a little bit to the left. When you're sure there's no weight on the left side, bring it back so that it's the original sort of a duck feet, 30-degree angle position. Lose the beautiful lady's hand and end up in the infinity pose, body upright and relaxed.